Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two-Way Women Wednesday, a pro-gun, pro-2A podcast where we interview the greatest ladies of 2A that are doing amazing things out in front where everybody can see and behind the scenes. So please hit the subscribe button, like button, share, and comment. And most importantly, go support these ladies on whatever platforms they may be on because they're doing amazing things. Good evening. Welcome back to Two-Way Women Wednesday. This is also Every Second Matters, in case you didn't realize. So happy Every Second Matters, everybody. But we have an awesome guest with us tonight. That is Alicia, the Boomstick babe. You can find her over on Instagram. As always, I could just ramble on for 5-10 minutes about these ladies, but nobody wants to hear me talk. Got the big ugly guy on screen. That's no fun. So I'm going to leave it to Alicia to let us know everything that she's doing and take it away, ma'am.
Hi. Okay there. I'm on IG. My IG is the Boomstick babe, the Boomstick babe. I'm from Colorado. I'm a Colorado gal. Just found my way into the Second Amendment community because I was pretty much just getting sick of the loss of freedoms, and I was seeing a lot of things happen that were becoming a little too aggressive with being told what to do in my state, here in the state of Colorado. And I decided to get involved and just start educating myself and start getting a little bit more vocal and involved in the Second Amendment movement. And that's what I'm doing. And that's who I am.
All right. That's awesome.
Simple.
So how long have you been involved now?
I'm very shady. So doing maybe for about a little over 2 years or so, not that long. Privately, I was a lot more involved, maybe for the past 10 years, probably for the past 7, I would say.
All right. Sorry, I'm turning up your mic settings real quick.
Okay.
It got a little quiet there for a second. So we'll try that now.
Okay.
But so how long did you say you've been involved again? I'm sorry. I remember I heard the shady part. 7 years? Why? I'm going to say, yeah, that's a good long time. Now, we've gotten to have a couple conversations in the past, which are just phenomenal. Your personality is electric. You just...
I have one.
you have a personality that just draws people in. But through talking, you mentioned that you are a trainer.
Yes.
Or instructor, however you wish to phrase it. I know some people don't like teacher.
I'm a teacher.
There we go.
Teach. Like, it's when people ask me what I do for a living, I say I'm a teacher. Because I'm shady. It's really not a lot of people's business. It depends on who you are that I actually share with people what I do, because I think this is more about education. It really is. It's about education and practice. Yes. And if we can get people to start looking at that in that way, start looking at guns as something to educate and practice with because it's a tool, I think it'll kind of, makes it a human thing, and it makes it a changes the perspective. I think the narrative right now when it comes to guns, if you hear the word gun and people, get afraid, or people hear the word weapon and it makes them, so to me, it's like, oh, I teach. What do you teach? I teach situational awareness. I teach safety. Oh, really? How do you do that? I'm a firearms teacher. People teach firearms. And they're like, yeah. Oh, really? But it opens up a conversation and makes it a little bit more human. And makes it, I think right away when I say, oh, yeah, I do this stuff with guns, people think, right away, oh, she's a bruh, she's a Republican, she's Trump. It really turns people off. So if I can just start a conversation with you, it makes it easier for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you're talking about getting put into those boxes. What's it like being Latina? Being thrown into those boxes, because I'm
a pretty honest person, so I'll be as frank with you as I would.
Oh yeah, have at it. And let's say This does not have any
Yeah,
G
yeah.
or PG rating. You can say, you go for it.
I think it's very faux pas in the state of be Latino, Chicana, Mexicana, any form of like Hispanic or Spanish culture to not be democratic. And it's usually those things like la raza, la gente, they're all democratic. I'm a Democrat, Democrat. So it's really breaking a lot of social constructs for people to realize that this isn't about a political affiliation. The Second Amendment is about freedom, and it's about civil rights, and it's about empowerment. And it is, these are women's rights. This is, minority rights. This is American rights. These are civil rights. So to me, I do my best to just be myself and say, okay, my family is Mexican, my family is American, my family is Spanish, my family is all of these things, but I love my family, and to me the most important thing is to perpetuate that protection and that love and that gente and that blanket of familia in my family, that construct. And to me, the best way I can teach my family to protect themselves, to protect them the way I want them to be protected, is to advocate for them taking ownership of their safety and to, tote gats. I mean, I was raised with guns. My family is very, very Spanish as well. My paternal side is from Southern Colorado, Trinidad, Colorado. And love my father. I love my father with every ounce of my being. And I spent a lot of time growing up, even into my 30s, with my father and his family in Southern Colorado. That's pretty much where I was raised for the most part. And having a gun and being in possession of guns and rifles and hunting and, farming and just being involved in that kind of life was normal to me. So, growing up and seeing my state from the perspective that I grew up pretty much outside on a farm with my family, shooting skeet, shooting clays, doing things that, riding four-wheelers, riding combines, riding horses, doing rural things, yet growing up in Denver, seeing how things have changed, it kind of became very jarring to me because, when people found out, like, oh, you have guns? Oh, why? The first was like, oh, what? And it's like, yeah, like, what's wrong with that? And it started changing the way people viewed me, that I think they thought, well, you're such a nice person. What do you need a gun for? And it's like, well, I am such a nice person, but it doesn't matter if I was a nice person or not. It's my right to have one. And I actually enjoy it. It's something that I enjoy doing. I love going shooting with my dad. I love going shooting with my brother. That's a good time to me. So it was more of a, this is something I do with the men in my life that I love. And that's the first thing my father ever taught me was, I love you enough that I want you to be aware of who you are and I want you to know your power. And he always told me, you're a warrior in heart, honey. You're a warrior queen in your heart, and you have a voice, use it. You have these skills, protect yourself, use them. I mean, my dad was giving me knives and guns and weapons experience since I was a little girl. And it wasn't anything that was meant to be violent or I was to be fearful of. It was to be respected and it was to be used, So it was just the way that I was
Absolutely.
taught. And I'm very, very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. And, you know, my father's passed away. He passed away, it's been 7 years here. And yesterday was actually his birthday. And every year that
Oh,
that my brother and I get together every year on my father's birthday, except last year was the first year that we didn't get together because I was in Atlanta training with one of my favorite people in the world, Kevin Dixie, with no other choice.
awesome.
But
Awesome.
I was raised to value myself, and I was raised to be a fighter. I was raised to be a warrior. I was raised to be a lover. I was raised to be both masculine and feminine. And I love that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I wish more people would embrace the fact that we are all inherently masculine and feminine. Men are, women are, we're all of the mother, we're all of our father. And we just need to have that balance of the heart and balance of the mind. And if you learn self-love and you learn to appreciate yourself and to truly value yourself as a human being and value your life, it's a great introduction to understanding why it's important that we all have guns and carry firearms. So that's just been kind of my motto. I think with my mind, I lead with my heart, and I keep a gun on my appendix at all times. And that's just been kind of the way I've navigated this world, and it's been successful for me. And I think it's just time that we start having positive female role models in, not just, feminine culture here, not just in Latina culture or Chicano culture, but in Colorado culture again. And I want to see that happen more. And if I'm going to be a part of this, I want to be a part of it on my terms, and making sure that people understand that it's about love and value, not about political affiliation.
That's absolutely freaking awesome. One of the things I want to dive into there is you mentioned family, and that's something that you do with the men in your life that you love and whatnot. And again, with a couple of sorry, dogs are deciding to play.
Dogs.
Yeah. One day I'm going to get a door on my office. Actually, I'm hoping this month, but I digress. When we got to talk on the phone before, you mentioned that you and your brother had gotten together and you guys had gone to the range, and I believe it was what arrangement was for dinner. Who could outshoot who. You want to tell everybody how that went?
So my brother's my older brother. So my father has 3 kids. My oldest brother, my sister, and myself. I'm the baby. My brother's my big brother. I only have one brother, but I always tell my brother the only reason I have one brother is because God got it right the first time. I didn't need any more of that. So my brother's my best friend. My brother's my heart. He's my favorite person on this planet. So, but he's also my older brother. So you know how that goes. There's a little poke and a little prod, a little teasing, a little competition. He's my big bro. I'm just the baby kind of a thing. And we went out not too long ago. Just my brother called me up and he said, "Hey, I want to buy you dinner, and let's go bust some caps. Let's go to the range, and let's go out for dinner afterward." And I said, "Okay." And the reason that we wanted to go to the range that day is because I upgraded my brother a frame of a firearm. So he wanted a 43X. He had a 43, so I bought a 43X frame and
nice
to put on his 43 slide. So we want to go and shoot that and just kind of goof around at the range and have a good time. And we get there, and I told my brother, I was like, I'm actually going to instruct you. Like, I want to show you today rather than popping some things. I want to help you with your grip. I want to help you with your stance. I want to help you with these things. And he said, "Okay, yeah." So we shoot, and then he says, "Okay, well now let's have a competition. Let's just kind of play a game of horse, with targets." So we have a 9 target that we can call out like numbers and letters, and he's like, "Okay, we'll just call them out. We'll play a horse. So make it, take it. The first one to miss the shot that they were called, buys dinner." I was like, "You were buying dinner anyway."
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. So he was like, "Come on." So I was like, "All right," because my brother thinks he's gonna make a fool out of me. And the first shot, my brother misses. I'm like, "Oh yeah, really?" Like, so I kind of smoked my brother pretty easily that day. And it's just funny because there's some things my brother's better at than me, but I don't think he's better in that department as me anymore. The more I practice, the more I'm like, "Bro, you need to practice," but you find out that the people closest to you, it's hardest to teach them and get them disciplined, and it drives me crazy. But people have that same issue with their kids. They have, their partner, their spouses, whatever. So it's like, I do my best. My brother is like the first person I want to lace with everything. If I have knowledge, he's the first person I want to share it with. If I have, a resource, he's the first person I want to give it to. And it just seems like he doesn't want to listen to me because I'm his sister, but kind of resists me sometimes. But in the end, he comes around.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I think part of that is, sometimes we just know how to get at each other, things like that. When you are close with somebody, and I think that's part of the reason that it can be tough to teach somebody who you're close to, as compared to a stranger.
Yeah. Growing up, these people, my brother, my uncles, my father, these people were role models to me, and they were, not only were they role models, they were sources of information. So there is no first hero in any girl's life, or should be. I'm sure there's lots of women that experience abuse that don't feel this way about their father, which is unfortunate to me. But my father was my first hero. My father's my Superman. There was, nothing more, grand than the power of my father in my perspective. So when my father spoke, I listened. When my father, asked something of me, I did it. And I did it with blind trust, and because I knew, like, that's my dad. There's no way my dad would tell me anything that would hurt me. There's no way that my dad would tell me something that he didn't find valuable, because my father invests in me. And, I feel the same way about my brother. But as you grow older, when I, went to college and I started educating myself and I became more aware of things, and I've always been very inquisitive and encouraged to be inquisitive, I was finding out that a lot of the things that we have been taught are just social constructs. There really is no reason for us to believe or accept a lot of the things that we've been taught to accept. When it comes to politics, when it comes to ways of the world, like a scarcity mindset, or, just things that you're taught culturally. And when you start gaining more knowledge and bringing more knowledge to the table than your elders, sometimes at first they can be really resistant, because they're like, wait a minute, what do you know? You're just the little one. But when they start seeing that you're becoming stronger and you're coming into your power, it's a little jarring for them. And they're like, wow, they have to take a step back and watch you grow a little bit and give you that room to grow. And sooner or later, I hope that, our elders realize, like, it is an exchange. What they can teach me is still very valuable. And I want to see that happen in our communities, that we get a little bit more closer and value our elders a lot more. But, the world is changing. And I think there's a lot of people that are my age and in the grassroots movement that have started to see the light and have started to see the truth in a lot of these constructs that we were taught, that we can bridge that gap from our elders to, our younger generation, to open up communication and, awareness of what's real, not just what, the Matrix has taught us to believe.
Definitely. So, you said your brother needs to practice more. And that night that we were talking, I remember you mentioning that there's something that you do religiously every night. And that is dry fire practice. And if I remember correctly, you said that you dry fire practice 50 shots a night.
Yes. So sometimes I'll even just break it up, like in the morning. It depends on what gun I'm carrying that day. I rotate pretty much 3 firearms all the time. I have a Glock 20 or a Glock 42 and a Glock 43X that are pretty much my go-to firearms. I usually have 2 guns within reach of me at all times. And it's usually those 2 guns. And that's just who I am. Like, to me, I think about things like, what if I'm somewhere and, I'm with a friend or something and they don't have a gun, or, whatever. It's an opportunity for training to me all the time, that I could teach people because I have 2 guns, or I have 2 guns for whatever reason. I'm just a 2-gun gal. But my 3rd gun that I usually rotate with, depending on like my clothing, is my little 6-hour P238.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it's a cute little gun. It's not the best gun, but it's nice. It's a nice backup carry, and I wish that I could get a smaller gun, like a 9mm, that I like that. I was thinking like the FN, what is it, the 503, the little like single stack 9mm that FN makes. I had the 509, but anyway, down that rabbit hole. But I like to dry fire practice with those guns, because those are the guns I carry all the time. But if I know that I'm going to be changing guns or like carrying in a different location that day, I just dry fire after I'm dressed from that location that I'm carrying in that day, just to kind of, get on gear with where I'm at and kind of reset that mining and that way of thinking. Because it's like, okay, if I'm going to be leaving the house today and it's yoga pants and hoodies, or sweats and hoodies, and then Now I have to go somewhere professional and I'm in a dress or in a suit. I'm probably going to carry my smaller gun, and I'm probably going to maybe carry either on my thigh or, somewhere a little bit more subdued to the onlookers. I don't want everybody thinking I'm a dude dressed as a woman because I have a big bulge in my ass, So it's like, you gotta, kind of be a little.
You still there?
And honing after I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, you were getting a little robot-y there at the end, but you sound good now.
No. Not the robot. Don't do the robot. Okay, that's not what you said. All right. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to do the robot, I feel like if you just did that on your Instagram, have people going wild. There you go. Do the two-way robot. You should put that on your Instagram feed, and oh my gosh, you could probably start a whole thing just getting like next time if you get to go shoot with Katie or something like that, have him do the two-way robot after that, and you'll start this whole thing.
Maybe. I think I can dance. But I don't really know if I could dance because I don't really care what people think I can dance because I'm a jam. I don't care. I don't fight the feeling. I'm one of those people like I'm a slave to the rhythm. You put the beat on and I can feel it, I'm gonna do it. I love music. I love to dance. It gives you a lot of joy. It's a great way to release. Yeah.
So, yeah, you mentioned rotating firearms. Now, two of them being Glock, so I mean, those are very clearly the same discipline, which is the P238. If I remember correctly, those do have an external thumb safety if you wish to apply it and whatnot.
Yes.
But what are your feelings on doing things like that? Because I know a lot of people are like, if you're carrying something normally that doesn't have a thumb safety, don't switch to something that has a thumb safety in your rotation. Likewise, I've heard a lot of people, if you're carrying a semi-auto, don't go and carry a revolver in that rotation. What are your thoughts on that? Does it matter, or like you're saying, hey, as long as you're practicing with it?
Yes, it's like telling people, well, you carry a handgun all the time, so don't carry a rifle. Yeah, it's like they're all different disciplines. So it's about what you will. At the end of the day, you can't tell people what works for them. You can suggest, you can have educated conversation, you can open up those things, but people have different disciplines and people learn differently. And it's, if I'm training that way, I'm pretty all right. You know what I mean? Like, I trust myself, and that's the whole point, is learning to trust yourself and training yourself to the point where you can trust yourself blindly, and taking it from that conscious effort to the subconscious, where that if you have to think in millisecond, that you could think and respond and trust your instincts. And that's where training comes in. So train like you live. That's what I tell people all the time. Train like you live. I like that. I really get tired of people telling people what they can and cannot do. Yes. I don't believe in limitations. To me, that's just not the person that I am. Period. And I'm a rebel soul, so don't tell me what the F I can and cannot do. I'm going to do it. And absolutely. I'm going to always be self-reliant, and I'm going to go for it. And, miss me with it. If you don't agree with me, well, that's the great thing about freedom. You don't have to like what I think. You don't have to like anything about me if you don't want to. But, stay in your lane. Do what you got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do. This is my life. So it's one of those things. It's like, if you think that I'm doing this because I want to be cool, or, I'm wanting your approval, that's not what it's about. I hope to inspire you. I hope to have a conversation with you. I hope to have a, beautiful exchange and learn from each other. Like, I love that. But can we, keep it on that note? But when we start telling people what they can and cannot do because of your quote unquote expert opinion, and that's like, 8 out of 10 doctors, say asbestos is great for your kids. It's like, train like you live. You have to make those calls and decisions for yourself. And it's called being independent. It's called being a responsible gun owner. It's called, education and experience and practice. So to me, it's like, do what you got to do. So I do
Absolutely.
it, you know, these are the tools that I have. These are the tools that I prefer. So telling someone what they prefer is, I think, is a little bit selfish and ignorant.
Yeah, that's man, that is just so spot on. I feel like we're operating on the same wavelength right now. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned some of the political side and getting involved. You weren't liking how uh, you know I don't want to say dictatorial Colorado is becoming, but it seems like it fits. So with that being said, but yeah, with that being said, have you done anything like going and speaking to any of your representatives or going to?
I'm a letter writing fool.
Yeah.
Um, I do well with that. One of my greatest mentors was a letter writing fool. And I met her. Her name is Linda Kay. I met her when I was a freshman in college. And, we have a saying in like, Spanish speaking culture, like Mexicano, Latino, Chicana culture, that to write letters is white. They're like, oh, that's a white people thing. Like white people write, white people complain, white people speak up. But the thing is, it's like we got to get past that narrative that your voice isn't important. Well, oh, tell it to her face. I'll tell it to their face too. But
Absolutely.
I'm going to put it in writing too, and I'm going to make an effort. And, sometimes we can get a little passionate in the heat of the moment. And if I can sit down, write a letter, do it very tactfully, very educated, and deliver this information eloquently that people are going to take me seriously, I'm going to do it. And, my mentor taught me, how to do those things and how to navigate that world. And I'm becoming better. I think I need to step my game up a little bit. But I always think that way. I'm never satisfied with anything unless it's constantly perpetuating some form of change. So whatever I can do, I'm going to do it. But right now, I really like getting involved. I really like writing letters. I stir the pot a lot. There's a association here, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, I think is what it is. I bug them a lot because, I'm like, well, what are you guys doing about this stuff? What are you guys doing about these things? What are you guys doing about those? What are you guys doing about, for example, we have a lot of like House and Senate bills that were passed last year in April. And it was, lots of gun control Senate and House bills, and they're basically just backdoor gun registration is what they are. It's backdoor gun registration. So it's, making reports of gun owners who have like had their guns lost or stolen, blah, 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 all these things, which it gets very tiring and it gets very boring to have to litigate that stuff. But I think that's where we lose people is there's not a lot of people that are getting active. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people that are willing to take the time to do that because time is money, and when
Absolutely.
you're people to do it, this is time that they're going to be taken away from, spending with their husbands or wives or their spouse, their kids, their personal time. And I think people have gotten lazy. They don't feel the fire the way they used to. They don't protest for the things that they used to. They don't, get out and around cages. So I kind of do.
Yeah. And my third Two-Way Women Wednesday was with Brooke Cheney, and she's the DC project director for Connecticut.
Okay.
And one of the things that she mentioned, which was really eye-opening that I don't think a lot of us ever thought about, is you got these representatives and they're only in for 2 years. So the first year they're going and they're doing things, and then the second year they're not doing anything. They're focused on getting reelected, keeping their job. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. So yeah, I just felt like that kind of tied into what you were saying there.
I think that when people don't, I mean, the sad part is this is a lot of people don't even know who their representatives are. They can tell you who's on their favorite sports team and those stats. They can tell you, one of the Kardashians did, or, the Super Bowl crap, but they can't
Yep.
tell you who their senates are. So you can't tell you who their representatives are. They can't tell you all of these things because they're not involved. And that's one of the issues that I have with the like Latino and Chicano community is they don't get involved. And that comes from a lot of indoctrination and a lot of, cultural norms of, keep your head down and shut the hell up and work. Don't get involved, don't speak up, don't make it harder for us, don't draw attention to us because we don't want to, rattle, we don't want attention. You know what I mean? We've been taught that attention is bad. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. Like, no, you need to speak up. People need to start, voicing their opinions and getting involved. And, I have a little game plan. I'm not one of those people that really likes to talk about what I'm doing. I like to do what I'm doing. And I have a hard time with social media because I'm very shy. Like, I'm very shy. I'm very quiet. A lot of people are like, what? You're shy.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was like, what?
Like, yes, I am. Like, I'm shy, and I don't really like to be the center of attention. So to me, it's difficult for me to put all the things that I'm doing and my ventures and stuff out there. And I'm getting a little bit more comfortable doing that. But, that's one of the things that I have to work on and work through is stop being so shy.
I don't think it's that bad. Honestly, people would probably be surprised to hear that I am the same way. I am a shy person, in person, that is. Online, things like that, it's a lot easier for me to be more extroverted, but get me in person and I'm very introverted until I get comfortable. Then you're just like, oh God, we just need to get rid of them. Like, yeah, I told you.
I'm a goofball. Like, I'm a straight and utter silly goofball. And so I just like to have a good time. I crack jokes. I'm silly. I think laughter is the cure for a lot of things. Gosh. I like to keep it real,
Yes.
The stuffy stuff, I can do stuffy. I can do bougie. I can do bougie with the best of them. But, I'm pretty down to earth. I'm a pretty chill gal. There's very few things I don't, that I have a problem with. And it takes a real effort to get a rise out of me. So if you get on my bad side or you do something pretty heinous, like it takes a lot. But if you get there, it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, who's this chick? So, I always talk about Bruce Lee, and I always say this quote all the time is, I'd rather be, a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a garden. So every day when I wake up, my mantra is, especially when I'm training and practicing with my firearm, is I'm perfecting a practice that I'll never have to do. And that's okay with me. It's like, yes. I will always perpetuate peace in my life, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the discipline, and I will always encourage discipline. Like, it's okay to be a warrior in the garden. I want to live a peaceful life. I hope to God I'll never ever use these skill sets that I have because I love peace. I want to maintain peace, but it's because I train and I practice that I am perpetuating the pursuit of peace, and that's just how the mind has to be for me.
Yeah, people will have asked me many times in the past, why do you open carry? I'm like, because working corrections and armed security for all the years that I did, any trainings that I went to, one of the first things we're taught was visual deterrence. And to me, open carrying is a visual deterrent. Somebody might want to do something, but if they see somebody that's carrying, well, that's no longer an easy target. And they're going to at least hopefully wait until I leave, at which point I don't have to worry about ever using my weapon. Because once you do, your entire life changes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I even though I'm blind and I feel like I probably do more complaining than not anymore, I still like my life, and I don't feel like going through all the litigation and everything else, So
exactly. My biggest hurdle is my mother. My mother thinks completely different about firearms than I do. My mother and I don't agree on a lot of things, but she's my mother and I love her. And I tell her all the time, like, I do this to protect you. Like, I do this because I care about you. I do this because I care about me. And, you know, talking about the presence of firearms, it makes people very uncomfortable. And when I started talking about firearms, what I started noticing and just being more involved in and around firearms on a more active basis is there are lots of misconceptions about guns that are so bad.
Yes.
They're just so bad. And I find that a lot with my students. And I teach from a level where I always, people are like, oh, let's go to the range. And yeah, I want to go to the range and shoot guns with you. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm happy to do that, but we're not going to have any range time unless we actually sit down and have a conversation. Like, I want to make sure that you understand range safety. I want to make sure you understand firearm safety. I want to understand your concept of what it means to own, possess, carry, and use a firearm. Because I want to know how to meet you where you are, rather than assuming that you know these. Because a lot of people have misconceptions about that stuff. In my concealed carry class, I go through all the different things. We talk about the castle doctrine. We talk about, all the things that are applicable to having a firearm here in the state of Colorado, and where we can and cannot carry according to John law. And I'm an anarchist at heart. Like, I don't believe in laws. I don't believe in rules made by people with money to keep people down and creating stupid laws in the first place to make criminals out of their citizens. But that's another rabbit hole. Yeah. We do talk about what the rules are. I don't tell people how to live their life, and I tell them all the time, I'm not an attorney. So I'll tell you what it says, and I'll tell you what that looks like. But morality and legality aren't the same thing. So it's like what's right here and what's right on a human plane does not usually equivocate to what the law says. So yes, if someone breaks in my home, do I have a right here to shoot them, according to the state of Colorado? Kind of, yeah. But is that right? And is that how you want to live your life? Because people don't ever talk about what happens after. What are the repercussions of that? Like, are you in your right? Yeah, you're in your right, but are you putting your family in danger? Is your family on the other side of that wall? Do you carry the proper ammo? Are you prepared to what's now going to happen to your family and the trauma? I mean, there's things you could have hearing loss. The people in your home could have hearing loss. The people could have way more than hearing loss. They're going to be traumatized for the rest of their life. Not saying that being broken in your home, being broken into, and your life being threatened isn't traumatic, but there's no coming back from violence. There isn't. And you really have to have those conversations with yourself, like, are you okay with violence, and are you okay with the repercussions of violence? Because it's not just going to affect you, it's going to affect everybody else in your life. And are you prepared to, deal with dead body, that memory of killing someone in your home? Because that's a soul contract. I don't care what anybody says. Like, if you're a spiritual, if you're a human being, taking a life is taking a life. It doesn't matter in what form or what your justification was. That's a soul contract. Death is death, and being the hand that swings the sword and that pulls the trigger, that's something to deal with. And I want people to understand the value of that. Like, is that child that broke? Are you willing to kill a child that broke into your home because he is 14 years old? He's living on the streets. His mother's a heroin addict, and she's who is teaching him to break into your home to rob you because she's hooked on heroin and needs to get that money or that item for a fix. That child needs rehabilitation. That child needs help. These people are, suffering from a disease. So does that child really deserve to get shot for doing that? And we're talking about a day and an age where I live, housing developments are popping up like rabbits having bunnies. Like, everywhere you look, there's a new housing development in places that there never was anything before. And these houses look exactly the same.
Yes.
So if you drive into any of these housing developments, they're mazes. They're like a casino. They're a casino of homes. Everything looks the same. All the stuff is similar. So people who are not from here come here, get drunk, go. What if they walk into the wrong house? They're staying at their, buddy's house. They just flew in town for the weekend. Guess what? All these houses look exactly the same. He catches an Uber home. He walks into the neighbor's house, passes out on the couch. Now, does that person deserve to get shot? These are real conversations that we need to start having in the Second Amendment community and in these educational classes. And, I'm kind of a sneaky broad. I'll go and I'll drop in on other concealed carry courses that are being taught here in the state of Colorado. And what I hear in a lot of these classes is the 4 rules of firearm safety. And they pretty much just send them on their way. It's a, solicitation for their business. It's a marketing class. It's not an educational course.
Yep.
And there in the state of Colorado, there's also no live fire requirement, which I don't want the government getting in any. I would prefer Colorado to become a constitutional carry state. I would love that. So we get rid of this whole you need a permit crap, because to me, I still believe that's an infringement. So people are like, well, that would put you out of business. No, it wouldn't, because people still need to train, and people still need instruction, and people still need to hold themselves accountable. And I think that should be, something that society holds each other accountable for. That's why we need to, reintroduce the talk of what it means to be someone who carries a firearm in this world and in this state. So there I am on my soapbox.
No, that was great. My goodness. There's so many amazing things that you touched on there that, like you said, that need to be talking points. And one of those things is morality.
Yes.
Is it just a matter of, hey, this person's in my home, or do you sit there and, really at the end of that, I think most of us would agree that you need to assess the situation. There's some random dude on my couch sleeping. Well, he's not presenting a threat right now. I probably shouldn't pop him in the
my
bed.
family
That's
safe.
not.
We can.
And not only that. Yeah, exactly.
Like the point is to stay alive. You know what I mean? Like the point is to stay alive. Period. Stay alive. Yep. Stay alive and go home and stay safe. Like stay safe and stay alive. And it's like, let's start having these conversations. And let's start getting involved in the community where we're talking to our community again. And we're talking to each other. We're talking to our neighbors. We're spending those times face to face, getting to know, those who are surrounding us and who we're living amongst, because this needs to be on a humane level rather than a political level.
Oh, absolutely.
And getting involved politically with your heart and with your mind united,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like that just segued me into a great question that I was wanting to ask anyways, and that is, what do you feel is plaguing the two-way community the most?
What do I feel is plaguing the 2A community the most?
Yep.
There is a lot of old way of thinking, and it being it's very cliquish. There's a lot of narcissists that people have put on these pedestals in the Second Amendment community that really separate a lot of its people. And the good news is I'm not one of those people that focuses on the constraints. I don't look at the obstacles. I look at the goal. So to me, it's like the goal is to create unity, right? The goal is to inspire change and to be changed. So it's like there's also a lot of great things that are going on in the Second Amendment community, and there's a lot more grassroots movement and friendships that are being developed, and new ideologies and new methodologies that are being born. So I think there's I think there's way more hope than people are giving it. A lot of people have lost hope in Colorado in the Second Amendment, and my heart really wants to move. Like I really, really, really want to leave Colorado. I want to move to Atlanta badly, to Georgia badly. But what I'm finding is that, me being a Colorado native and being, so heartful and mindful the way I am inspiring change. I am making a difference. And
Yeah.
whether it be, 1, 2, 3 people at a time to soon to, hopefully hundreds and thousands of people at a time. But have you ever heard of the story of the little boy and the starfish, the sea star on the ocean?
It
So
sounds really familiar, but please go ahead, refresh me.
there's a little boy and he's walking along the seaside and he's picking up sea stars or starfish, what people call them starfish, and he's chucking them back into the ocean. And, an old man is so happy to be walking along the beach as well. And he sees this little boy doing it and he's watching him for a while. And then he walks over to the little boy and he says, son, there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you there?
Yep. Yeah.
So, the old man says to the young boy, there's thousands and thousands of miles of seaside here. You can't possibly make a difference. There's tons of these that have washed up. You can't possibly, think that you're going to save everyone. And the little boy looks down, picks one up, throws it back into the ocean. He says, made a difference to that one, and keeps going on. And that's exactly how I feel about this industry right now. Is if I can make a difference to one person, I've done my job. If I can influence one person, I can do my job. And I will continue to do that. I look at what I'm doing, not what I'm not doing. And I think that needs to be a change also in this industry. Is we all need to stop having this. Well, I won't say I'm part of that, but there's a lot of people in this industry that it's a competition. It's all about notoriety and who wants to be. Everybody wants to be the instructor. Everybody wants to be in the limelight. Everybody, my way of training is the best way. And we got to get past that, man. It's like we got to start looking at ourselves and saying, not everybody has to be an instructor. There are so many ways to make a difference. You can get involved locally on a legal level. You can start lobbying. You can start, holding meetings in your community about these types of things. There's so many avenues to helping that let's all hold each other up rather than bicker amongst each other. But I'm lucky enough that the people that I kick it with and the people that I know in this industry, most of them are very, very good-hearted people. They're all pretty much on that level. It's a really nice grassroots movement, and I think there's going to be a lot of things that are happening. Not saying that it's going to be easy, but we all hold hands. We could be each other's crutches. You know what I mean? We can all be there to support each other, and I would love to see that happen. I would love to see us all just kind of step our game up and start helping support one another. Hence me being here and you and I talking and introducing each other to new people and just creating that web and that interweb of networking across the United States. We can have people to refer each other to. Like, hey, when I know somebody who's really feeling what's going on in Virginia right now. I don't personally know somebody in Virginia, but you know what? I know somebody who knows somebody. And let me get you that information and let me get you in touch with them and so on and so forth. And just helping people get organized and linked up with the right people and having more conversation.
Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to be a very popular lady with this interview. This has been phenomenal. Holy cow.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, we only tried for 3 months to get this organized.
Yes.
This has been so worth the wait. Holy cow. This has been amazing.
There should be 3 of me, but I don't think the world's ready for that yet. Or me. I'm like, ooh.
Your brother's going to be like, man, that's going to be a lot of dinners to buy.
She's a hungry girl too. I don't have for food. People are like, oh, what's your favorite food? I'm like, free. I'm like, free food. Feed me. I like to eat.
But yeah, just everything you've been saying throughout this whole thing is just so spot on. Like I said,
thank you.
Just incredible.
Very good. Your dog loves me too.
Yes, yeah. Let's say he is a 8-week-old German Shepherd puppy.
Oh, boy.
And I'm sure because this is going to be premiered actually tomorrow. Well, when people are watching it, it'll be today. But I'm sure in the text chat, people are gonna be like, "Show us the puppy," and we're like, "Yeah, he's in the other room. Can't do that. Sorry." So,
I love dogs. I love dogs so much. I actually have a dog that I am taking care of every day. So I go and I've rescued and rehabilitated probably over 80 dogs in my
That's
lifetime.
awesome.
Yeah. When I was in college, I fell in love with my dog Pete, and the rest is history. He is 16 years old, Los Altos, the light of my life. But I started adopting and rescuing condemned dogs off a doggy death row when I was in high school, or I mean in college, and just rehabilitating them. Lots of big breeds, Great Danes, Rottweilers, Pit
Hmm.
Bulls, Mastiffs, Old English Mastiffs, all just tons of different types of dogs. And all I ever found was they just need leadership. They just need leadership and patience. And I love animals, and I've actually only
Yes.
kept two of the dogs that I rescued. One was my Great Dane Hank, and the other was my Rottweiler Rolex. And I miss them every day. So I'm super excited for you to have a new like big breed puppy, like a good dog to take care of. But every day I go and walk this little puppy, and his name is Oslo, and we go for a walk every day for an hour, and I get to train him and show him how to be a good boy, and I look forward to it every day. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I've got a.
the puppy journey is a tough one, but it's a
It
fun
is.
one.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a blue tick coonhound. I've got a mutt that is a Newfoundland Border Collie Lab mix. Which the best part is she looks like a golden retriever. Looks nothing like
Newfies are
the other three
good.
breeds. Yeah, Newfoundlands are
Newfies are
awesome.
such a gentle breed, though. They're big and fluffy, but they are such a gentle breed. They're just cuddle
But
bugs.
they're a territorial breed too. A lot of
yeah.
people, yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, they are great dogs though. And then, like I said, just got the German Shepherd
Most dogs
puppy.
are
Like I
very
said, he's
territorial, though. Like,
yeah,
that's one thing you don't have to teach a dog to be is territorial. Just like I tell people all the time, like, you don't have to teach a dog to be protective. If you teach
yep.
them love and leadership, they will automatically just have your back and everything. They truly are man's best friend.
Yeah. I had a Cane Corso Mastiff.
Cane Corso, yes.
Yeah.
They're very,
amazing.
very headstrong. That's a headstrong.
Yes. He was an incredible dog, though. I only had him for 6 months before he passed. He was 9 when I got him. So
okay.
I knew time was short. I didn't realize it was going to be 6 months short. But I figured if I got a couple years out of him, it'd be awesome. Yeah. But like I said,
when you adopt like older dogs, like I used to do that too. It's like nobody wants that dog because they don't want to get attached. That dog's gonna probably pass away in a shelter, which is awful. Yeah. And it's like, it got to the point I'm like, I have 3 dogs. What's one more? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
To have another dog and give them a home and give them love and safety. In that time where they're going to cross the rainbow bridge, it's like there's nothing greater and more gentle to do than have humanity. It's like I'm such a hippie. I'm such a lover. It's ridiculous. Like I love animals. So I totally feel you on that.
I would love to get another one, but he was just so amazing. Man, it's just one of those deals where you have a dog like that and you're like, this one's so amazing, and you would love to get another of that same breed, but the odds of it being that amazing again, it's tough. So
I love Rottweilers. Long-term goal for me is I would like to buy a ton of land and pretty much do a no-kill rescue, and I would like to see it be like a no-kill rescue for all dogs, and it'd be like a rehabilitation and employment and housing opportunity, not only for the animals, but for veterans. And kind of just, provide that option. Like I have some big dreams and big goals that I want to create. So it's like, wouldn't that be great? Having like a no-kill shelter for all these dogs, pair them with vets, especially like homeless vets with PTSD, all these things, and just have like a program for them, a place where they can live. That we don't take care of our vets the way we should here in America, and it really ticks me off that I see vets who have protected our freedom and sacrificed their lives for all these things, and they're homeless. They don't have the resources that they need, and I have it in a word from a lot of vets that I know here in Colorado that our VA hospital is not very good to our vets. So we need to step that game up. And to me, I'm like, what a great idea. What a great way to marry rehabilitating souls than to do it in a constructive environment like that. So
Yep.
I want to see that happen in the next 10 years, hopefully 5. If anybody's listening, give me some money and let's do it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
So we're about at the 1 hour mark. Do you have like another 10 minutes or so that you can spare?
I can give you whatever you want. I have nothing else to do.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
going bowling tonight, but.
Oh, nice. Love going bowling. I know I got a couple people out there that are going to be watching and be like, oh, putting on other people's shoes. Go buy your own bowling shoes.
Buy
They're
your
like
own
$30.
bowling shoes. Like, settle down.
Exactly.
Get your own bowling ball. Like, it ain't,
Yeah.
Settle down. Have you ever seen the movie Kingpin?
Yes.
It's
Love
one
that
of my
movie.
favorite movies ever. So it's like, he walks into the bowling alley and there's all these like, really portly, sweaty people eating hot dogs, drinking beer, and he's like, wow, how amazing to be in the presence of these amazing athletes. All this greatness. It's like, I'm a bowler. Like, like people always ask me.
Well, I love when.
Know me very well. And they're like, oh, what do you, describe yourself? I'm like, oh yeah, I have a bowler's body. Professional bowler body.
To say, well, all right. So I got to ask this: how do you carry when you go bowling? When I go bowling, I normally carry in a shoulder rig, open carry.
Really? That's cool. I'd like to see that. I carry appendix. I just carry my Glock 42.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very short gal. I'm only 4'11", and I'm about 150 pounds. Like, I'm short. I have little like this much room for a torso. So I usually just carry my Glock 42, and I'll just wear like a hoodie or like a baggy shirt or something like that. Like, I'm here to bowl, but I just won't disarm. That's just not my.
Yep.
Not that kind of I feel uncomfortable. I really feel uncomfortable when people are like, oh, we're gonna go someplace, and it's like, oh, I'm like, do they have metal detectors? Like, let me scope it out. Let me go drive by that place out. Let me check it out first, because trust me, I've been involved in security, and I have a security badge here in the state of Colorado. I have like an endorsement for security here. So I get to see like the backside of things that happen here in Colorado, and I know people that do security, and it's like it's a bunch of BS, because maybe they're disarming people in the front of the building, but in the back of the building where the artists are coming in, the staff's coming in, all this things, like no.
Yep.
You're not gonna. No, sorry, you can miss me with it. And I've just kind of got to the point. It's like, I won't go places where they tell me to wear a mask or they think they're gonna disarm me. It's like, then I don't need to be there, and you don't need my money.
Yeah, this past Saturday, my daughter had a wrestling tournament, and she ended up qualifying for states and all that, so that was great.
Oh,
but
cool.
Afterwards, she wanted to go to the arcade and things like that. So we go to the arcade, and apparently when you enter the arcade, way over on the wall where nobody's looking or realizes or anything, they have a sign that says no firearms. Along with like 6 other things, which in the state of PA is supposed to be displayed prominently on the front door, which another issue is they don't have a front door because it's inside the mall. So it's just an open walkway.
Congratulations on your dumb sign. Everybody here's a sitting duck. That's what that means to me.
And
please rob us. That's what
at some point, like to me. I have an employee come up to me, and the young man's like, "Are you carrying, sir?" And it kind of caught me off guard for a second, because I open carry all the time, except if I'm at the mall or something. Normally, I will conceal. But this time, I had my concealed carry vest on, and it was covering, except for maybe like an inch or 2 of my holster. Okay. And I thought about lying. I was like, no, I'm not going to lie. I was like, yeah. And he's like, would you mind taking it up to your car? I was like, no. He's like, well, if you can't take it up to your car, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I was like, that's fine. I'll leave.
Bye.
I was like, I'm not just, and he was very nice about it and everything. And honestly, I was thinking about it with given the lighting in there, things like that. I was wearing dark blue jeans, which I mean, not like, oh, they're dark blue, but I mean, like where they're almost like a deep purple, dark blue. Okay. My concealed carry vest is black, and then my holster is a black leather holster. So for him to just apparently spot this, just I was like, you got to have eyes like a hawk and must have been really looking for it or something, because he claims that nobody complained, and I normally carry it like a 4 o'clock position. So,
But this is my thing on that. Why would he even do that?
yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's
you know what I mean?
that's what
Like,
I told him.
what kind of patriot are you? Like that you would do that? Like that you're.
Well,
I have a real big problem with people upholding stupid laws in the first place. Like, go out and it's like, you know, I don't agree with this, but I work here, so that's the problem. If you're helping perpetuate stupid laws, like, why don't you get vocal somewhere else and get involved legally and start making changes to get rid of these laws instead of, you know, sitting here harassing me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and that's the
I get
best.
real stale about that.
Well, you're gonna love this next part then, because he's like, I'm all about the Second Amendment. I'm a Marine. I'm like, cool. Yeah. But so I told him, I was like, I worked.
Better job.
I told him, I was like, I used to work corrections and armed security long before I lost my vision. I was like, from security officer to security officer, because his excuse was, well, you know, since I seen it, you know, I gotta blah blah blah. I was like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
I was like, because if nobody made a complaint, I was like, nobody knows that you saw it.
All you're doing is making this place more unsafe.
Well, there's that, but I told him, I was like, by approaching me and nobody having made a complaint or anything, you are creating a situation. I was like, if I were to react badly, you have just created a situation. For what reason? Because you saw something that nobody else did. As like, I understand that, you know, if this is your job, it's what you're supposed to do. Cool. But, security officer to security officer, I'm not looking to cause a situation. Now, if somebody were to be acting unruly, things like that, and yeah, you step in. But if they're just out enjoying their family and nobody's then like, hey, that person's doing something that they're not supposed to, don't cause a situation.
So I wonder about those types of scenarios, because these are, you know, the world's, all we live is in gray areas, right? The world is nothing but gray areas. Everybody always talks about absolutes and what's fair and what's not fair. It's like, get out of your mind that fair is a concept that does not exist. There is no such thing as fair in this world, or like, we live in a gray area society. And I wonder sometimes why people do those things, if it's because of how you look, or they have some sort of, you know, misconception or ideology in their head that makes them go out of their way to do something like that. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, a couple years ago, I went to a concert that was here in Colorado, and me being from here, I've been to pretty much every concert venue under the sun in my state. I'm kind of a music junkie. So that night, I, you know, take an Uber, take a Lyft, whatever, to the venue. You know, I have my dress, I have whatever, my gun stashed under my dress, all that jazz. We get to the entrance where they're going to take my ticket for the show, and there's metal detection devices. There's like metal detection devices permanently in place at every entrance in the front, and there's also security personnel wanding you and like looking through your bags and everything. I'm like, oh, shit. You know, like, this is new. This place has never had this before. So one of the laws here in the state of Colorado is, when it's talking about where you cannot conceal carry, is metal detection devices permanently in place at every entrance and exit that's also manned by, you know, personnel. So that's how they get you at, you know, state buildings. It's how they get you at, you know, concert venues, at the basketball stadium, all this jazz. So I get there and I'm like, you know, no need to beat around the bush. I'm like, I'm carrying. I'm locked and loaded. I have a gun on me. You know, like, here, it is what it is. And he's like, well, you're going to have to take that to your vehicle. And I said, I got an Uber here, bro. And one of the things that it also states in Colorado law is they have to have a place to secure that firearm. They have to have a place in order to do that, right? Available to me. But nobody talks about that. And so he says, hold on one second. And he says, let me get the officer on duty. And the officer on duty comes over to me and he says, hey, you know, if you like, you're welcome to put your firearm in my squad car with my canine. He was like, I'll put it in my car, you know, as soon as the concert's over. Here's my card. Here's my number. If you want to text me, I'll just meet you out front and give you your firearm back. And I was like, okay, and I'm thinking in my head, like, I got a tactical pen. I got, I got a knife, what are the other things that I could have that I'm really not breaking any laws, or how am I going to protect myself? Because that's an issue, right? That makes me uncomfortable to be disarmed. But that was really my first experience with that type of situation. And I put my firearm in his vehicle, and he, I had a conversation with the guy for a while, and he was like, I really appreciate that you're carrying. He was like, I wish more people, understood the value of the Second Amendment. And he said, because, we can't be everywhere. And in a lot of scenarios, their hands are tied, and he's like, and if something does happen, how long is it going to take for all of us to get there? There's so many things that have to be considered in those situations. And he was like, I'm all for it. I'm all for the Second Amendment. I'm all for citizens carrying. But I think about it, and it's like, okay, I hear people tell me, it's like, yeah, but you're also, an attractive, very white looking person. So it's like, and I'm a girl. So do I get treated differently with my firearm than you getting treated differently with your firearm? Or, what if it was Tony Simon, or what if it was, a couple of other people that we know in the industry?
Yeah.
Or, just, we all look different. You're right. We all appear different. And if people think that there isn't, casing people, or, preconceived notions about who should have a firearm or what a bad guy looks like. Right. So I wonder what his motivation was and why he took the effort to single you out. Because to me, that's the bias.
And
you know what I mean?
When you bring that up, that's something I didn't think about. Probably because I'm a white gringo that doesn't typically have to worry about those things. But But you have a stereotype that's associated with you too. You know what I mean? Like now, absolutely. Walking around with a blind cane and whatnot. There's that. But when I go out, I'm normally wearing a pearl snap Wrangler shirt, blue jeans, my cowboy boots, cowboy hat. And then depending on where I'm going, if I'm like, well, I'm, like I was at the wrestling tournament. Now the wrestling tournament was being held at a convention center, but I was like, well, I don't know. Knowing who owns the convention center, their one facility has metal detectors built in at the place. And I was like, they might have them here. And I was like, well, I'm going to try and get through. So I know. But so I wore my concealed carry vest, which is a Western style vest, but it's got, built-in like a spandex holsters on the inside and everything, but it's got these very, very tiny zippers that honestly, if they were like open that up, I could just do this and you would never notice the zipper because one, my hand's covering it now, but in there I can fit a full-size 1911 no problem. So if they're not paying attention to just like, oh well, there's clearly a mass in there, I'm getting through. Plus normally I'm walking through and I've got this giant belt buckle on and I've got my jacket that's got metal snaps on it and I got my blind cane that's metal. So then they just do a quick wand and they're like, yeah, you're good, because nobody questions the blind guy.
We can go into a lot of details. I broke my foot last year and I had like the walking cane, or the walking cast on my foot, So I'm like, I get this little devious, my foul little mind works on how to sneak weapons into everything.
Yeah.
I'm always finding ways where I can be absolutely booby trapped. I'm just one of those people. It's like,
well, it's like I said, I used to work corrections, and when it was the inmates versus the guards, and in this case, I don't want to conflate us with inmates, but in the same sense, we're always trying to come up with different ways to be carrying in places that may not want us to.
I don't tell people how to live their life. I'm one of those people that's like, we could have conversations, we could suggest things, but all in all, I'm a firm believer. Like, I'd rather catch a case than catch a casket. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's just the way I think about stuff. And some people don't like that. Some people are like, well, that's bad. You need to follow the law, blah, blah, and you give a bad name to gun owners. It's like, I want a fighting chance, and the only way I have a fighting chance is if I'm alive. Like, period. So it is what it is. That's why it's like, well, then get involved and make a difference. Just being okay with things and learning. Like, I was talking about this the other day. It's like finding ways to live around these laws isn't helping us. We need to change them and get rid of them and help, eradicate gun control in every way that we can. It's like every little small step counts. Every little change counts. So it's like, I want people to start understanding, like, just learning to be more sneaky isn't always the best. Like, we need to be involved too. It's like we need to find other ways to be involved. Because I'm telling you right now, if I can find a way around the system, I have a criminal mind. I'm not a bad person, but I always think about alternate things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, my best friend growing up was so hood. He was so gangster, and I was so square. And it was like, he got me street level real quick. It's like, you have to think of ways and be smart about, how am I going to protect myself? Where am I at? What am I doing? What do I have? What's within reach? Because being a woman, I don't know, like, your experience as a man, but being a woman, like, I'm semi-attractive. You know what I mean?
I'm not attractive
at all. I'm not one of those people that is, has a bodyguard to go with me everywhere I go. I'm not one of these people that has, all of these luxuries that I can afford, a mass group of people to protect me everywhere I go. I need to be able to protect myself. And sometimes I'm going in places where, you may not have cell phone service.
Yeah.
You may not have access to other people. So how are you going to get yourself safely home? It's like, well, I'm going to be booby trapped to the nines. I'm going to have resources, and that goes beyond just being prepared about how to kill somebody. It's like, well, do you know how to save a life too? Do I have access to a first aid kit? Do I have an air compressor that's electronic on my car? Is it charged? Do I have a way to jump in my car if something goes happen? Do I know how to change a tire? Do I know how to do these things? Like, having a weapon isn't always the only way to save your life. Like, there's multiple levels to this. So it's like starting to, start valuing life. Like, the basis is valuing life. So by telling somebody that they can't value their life, or, oh, you can't be here and this and that, blah, blah, blah. All that sounds like to me is control, and that you don't value life. Like, that's how I interpret it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like, oh, these things are there for your protection. It's like, no, it's not. It's there for my compliance. It's there for my control. It's like, I went to Catholic school. I understand guilt and fear. Like, you can't get behind me on that. It's like, I see you coming with the guilt and the fear and that. No. Small town Catholic girl. Ain't gonna happen.
All right. So, because I'm eating up a ton of your time at this point,
I don't care.
Just going to jump into a couple of those quick little questions that we talked about before we went live, and then we'll wrap it up. Oh,
we're live now? Cool.
Yeah. Well, before we started recording, I should say. This will be live tomorrow, but...
Cool.
Yep. So, top 5 firearms. For yourself.
Dream team, or that I have?
It can be dream team. Anything that you prefer.
I love my Glock 42. It's my favorite gun ever. That gun's my best friend. I love that gun. I need people to make more 380 ammo, and if anybody wants to send me free 380, just DM me. I'll take tips. I love that gun. It's my favorite gun ever from my little tiny little girl hands. I love my 43X. I love my 6-hour 365. I got the optic on it. I love that little thing. It's fun. I love Tactical Life Firearms. They have a firearm that's a 5.56 223 barrel, and you can also switch the barrel off of it, and it becomes 300 blackout, and also folds up into a little pouch. So
nice.
Like, oh yeah, I want that sucker so bad. I'm like, I want to buy it. I want to buy it so bad. And the next one, I want to buy that Scorpion. I want to buy that.
Oh, okay.
I want it so bad. That little SBR, it's like a 9mm.
Yeah.
Like, man, give me it. I'm like, come on, do it. Like, I love that. Like, so there you have it. There you have it. There's so many other guns that I want to shoot, though. Like, my student had a Beretta. I forget what it was, like I don't know the model, but it was absolutely gorgeous. I want to say it was like a 93 X or something like that. Something
92X. I say because it was a 93X, it would be full auto.
Yeah, okay, then that's what it was. But that thing was like the Rolls Royce of handguns. I was like, are you kidding
Nice.
me? Like, woo! I shot that thing and I was like, even it's so well balanced that like when you're shooting it, like the reset, like when it comes back down, boom, you know, after every shot, it's so well balanced. It's like you don't even really need to be that skilled to shoot that gun. And he was like, I think he was telling me like it's a competition gun. It's pretty expensive, but I was like,
the 92X
like,
is supposed to be amazing.
I'm like, okay. It's like, what's up?
Yeah.
I need more money in my life. Like, if the universe is listening right now, like,
don't we all?
Millionaire, okay.
Yes.
I have an arsenal. Okay.
Have you ever thought about making a YouTube channel?
No, I haven't. I'm just, I ask myself, like, maybe this is just me, but who would want to listen to me talk? And like, what would I
thought
talk
the same
about?
thing.
It's like I don't know.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It's amazing.
I'm so camera shy, and I'm shady too. And it's like, to me, I always think of it like, then people actually know who I am, and then people will reach out to me, and then people want to talk to me, and it's like, you know. And then you know, people can Google you and know all about your business, and I'm just shady. So it's like, I'm getting over that. I know that you know, the things that I want to do, people are going to have to notice me. I'm going to have to be, you know, more out there and in the public eye. And it's like, oh man.
Well, I'm just going to toss this out there. I'm pretty sure if you did a YouTube channel, you'd absolutely crush it. So, just going to, you know, throw that encouragement out there.
There's a lot of heavy hitters out there that have YouTube channels. So it's like, maybe someday. I'm a never say never kind of person. Like, don't say never. Say not right now.
So, are there any two-way activists or advocates that you look up to?
Yes. Yes. There's people that I absolutely respect in this industry, like Ken Scott of Perfectus Group. I love that man. I respect the hell out of him. That's my friend. Like, that's my brother. Like, I'm soft in him. I love KD.
KD's awesome.
He's just a good person. He's a good man. The one thing I love about KD is, like, every time you talk to KD, he's always like, what are you going to do about it? You know, where's your goal? You know, he's always building. He's always like on you about how you're going to.
Yep. I could listen to that guy talk for hours.
What action are you taking to do that? You know, it's like,
yep.
I feel you, bro. You know, I really like Ava Flannel, or I hope I'm saying her name right. She's out of Colorado Springs here, and I really like her. Like, I have never met her personally, but I really love to meet her and work with her. I love Rhonda Mary. Like,
Rhonda Mary's awesome, also.
Like, I just love her. How can you not like Rhonda? I love Sharon Hinchcliffe. I love her. Gosh, the first time I ever met Sharon, I was like, I want to lick your brain. Like, I want to just lick your brain and hold you, because that woman is brilliant, and I respect her so much. Like, I just absolutely do. So, I mean, that list is a long list. That's a long list of people.
That's awesome. The list that you just gave is amazing.
Yeah, I really want to work with everybody. I do. I want to get around all the people that I can, and I'm a firm believer that you got to continue learning. And the only way you do that is being humble and being open to knowledge. And there's so much knowledge that I still have yet to learn. So if anybody seeing me and wants to reach out and wants to work together, or, you know, come together and do some training and whatever, I'm always up for it.
Yeah, that'd be. I hope that there are some people that reach out to you, because
Mom at Arms, she's bad too. I like her.
Yes.
Like, I like you. She's spicy. She don't give it. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of energy I like in a woman. I do. So yes, shout out to those people. Oh, I love the Pew Pew Jew too. I've never met him.
Oh yes,
he's dope. Yep. He's super dope. I love my friends, the Locked and Loaded Latinos, Ro and Joe. Like, yep. I love them. I love Pete of Carolina Customs. He's dope. I mean, there's so many cool people in this industry. It's just like one big happy family. So
yes. So I'm going to do some quick closing plugs, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll wrap it up. So I'd like to remind everybody that Tamarack Armory is my LGS that I've been doing business with about 10 years now, give or take. My screen is very small here, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually click on anything. And hey, look at that. I was actually able to do it. Got lucky, folks. So anyways, go check out Tamarack Armory. If there's anything that you're in need of and you can't find, or your local gun shop doesn't want to work with you and order something in or something like that, these guys would probably be more than happy to try and help you out. Just a great group of people. Also, go over to owlandanchor.com and check out all the two-way swag that they have over there: patches, stickers, custom embroidery. You name it, they're doing it, and it's all just absolutely terrific. And then, as I mentioned at the top of the show here, it is Every Second Matters. So head over to gearwebsites.com and you get some awesome stuff over there, some patches, mugs, t-shirts. You can get some Every Second Matters patches and or Every Second Matters t-shirt. Because again, today is Every Second Matters. So with all that being said, though, Alicia, I cannot thank you enough for this. This has been phenomenal. I think this might be the longest Two-Way Women Wednesday I've ever had, and I feel like I probably could go longer, but I don't want to abuse the gift that I've been given of your time, which has just been phenomenal. So, like I said, I'm going to turn it. So I'm going to turn it over to you now. Anything that you wish to plug, promote, anybody you want to shout out, anything at all, the floor is yours, and you have all the time in the world.
No. Me. Come follow me. Come be friends with me. Reach out. Talk to me. I really want to get more involved. I really want to make more friends in the state of Colorado that are a little bit more enthusiastic about the Second Amendment. If you're wanting to be more involved, on a litigation side, on a legality side, on an education side, whatever, I'd love to work with more people. On a national level, I'm open to everything and everyone. So I would really just like to start developing relationships, make connections happen. My IG is at the Boomstick Babe on IG. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I do appreciate it. And one thing I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I apologize. If you had to give a word of wisdom to everybody, do you think you could come up with something off the top of your head real quick?
Yes. Love isn't love unless you give it away. It isn't. You have to.
That's awesome.
Like, love isn't love unless you give it away. Love everybody. Treat everybody gently as you walk through.
That's terrific.
Life, and treat
Absolutely
everybody with
terrific.
understanding. Be the best devil's advocate you possibly.
Yes. All right. Well, again, I cannot thank you enough. This has been phenomenal. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to go over to Boomstick Babe's IG. That will be linked down in the description below, along with anything else that she wishes for me to link. Her and I will talk about that once we go off air here.
Send me money. Give me money.
Yeah. I say, do you got a Patreon or a PayPal? We can throw that down in the link. So don't you worry. So again, thank you so much. We're going to end it now. If I can.